There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all. This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Everybody dance!
Yeah.
Rocket Man.
Did you see Rocket Man?
Yeah, my wife said every part Elton's on in these red sunglasses.
That's awesome.
Ah, the Daredevil. Oh!
How dare you, Lilith?
Lilith is not liking it.
Lilith loves Daredevil.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe she will be taking the con position in our debate today.
Who could have seen that coming?
The defense. Okay, and welcome to Capes and Lunatics. I'm Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is going from left to right. I don't know how you guys are organized on my screen, but to me, that would be that lady.
Hey guys, it's Lilith, the Lunatic.
Yay! Oh, bye!
Tyler, the man in black right now.
There we go. And of course, the lovable
Phil Parrish, the man without fear.
Yes, yes. So, did anyone watch The Defenders last night?
I'm
5 episodes, buddy.
I'm 2 episodes in, just because of work schedules, and Jania won't let me watch it without her.
Yes.
So.
I'm sorry, how far did you get, Lilith?
2 episodes.
Oh, you got 2 episodes? Okay, so we got 2, and I'm at 4.5, and Phil's at 5, so.
So, Phil, you could have almost finished it.
I kind of ran out of time, you know.
How many episodes is it?
It's only 8.
8.
Only 8? Oh. See, Marvel's already
I kind of like that. I kind of like that because, you know, I love all these Marvel Netflix shows, but all the other ones are like 13 episodes, and they seem to kind of like slow down or drag in the middle. Yep. Maybe with just 8, you know, the pacing is a lot better, and you know, with all these characters and only 8 episodes, it's just gonna.
I feel like the thing was like what you said. If you look at all the episodes where they're like 13, it gets in the middle, it drags for like an episode or 2, and then the story slightly changes, and it can almost feel like it starts a season 2 on the back half. So I think really like if they could just do 10, that would be their sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, like, yeah, you're extending a good long story, but at the same time, you're not dragging stuff out too far.
I don't know. For me, every time it's a good series, I get like so mad when I get to that short end. I'm like, wait, where's my other 5 episodes? Like, series of unfortunate events, you know? As I said, the most unfortunate event was that there were only 8 episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a continuing thing though, because all these people are getting, you know, more seasons of their solo series. So hopefully we get a Defender season 2 some point.
Hold that thought, because I have an idea for Iron Fist season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll come back around to that, but I have an idea.
Less boardroom, more action.
Well, okay, I'll just tell you right now. My thought is, what if for Iron Fist season 2, like I haven't watched all the Defenders, but the majority of season 2 is like a Heroes for Hire arc, where like we get Luke Cage in it maybe for like 6 episodes or something, kind of like how he was in Jessica Jones for a few episodes, and they do like Heroes for Hire, and then Iron Fist has to kind of go off on his own or something for part of the arc, something like that.
Oh,
that's where they take him for season 2.
I would say that there's no reason for Luke Cage not to come along and be charismatic.
I don't need anything ever about Rand. Like and I have my own theory about Rand
I mean, they set
I'm gonna
it up
pause.
in the first season. That's good. That's good enough. I mean, it kind of comes in this series, but I mean, it's like 2 minutes, if that.
Well,
And you don't get any of the meat jumps. So
Good.
No.
They had their series. That's the Netflix series I wanted. The Meachums.
Yes.
meet the meat jumps.
Well, I will say this, and this is what I think was kind of cool, was we do get Danny Rand. Was this an episode? This is in episode 2, I think, where he goes to Rand to find out, what's going on with Midland Circle, and then he goes to Midland Circle to confront the Hand as a businessman. And honestly, I don't know what his end game was, but I just like the idea that he's like, no, I actually have, had he had a lawyer had he met Matt Murdock at that point, that would have been cool. Was the idea of burying Midland Circle in paperwork would have been a great way to attack them. But he just went in there to say, I'm rich. Oh, also I can punch. And so that was kind of the weak spot there. But I think that there was the hint that you could actually have that Rand quality.
Yeah, but
being something valuable, a real tool in the war against the Hand.
Was that right before? Was it the setup so Luke Cage could smack around Iron Fist?
When does Luke Cage smack around Iron Fist?
Remember, Luke was going to save that kid, and then
that's
Iron
before
Fist
that.
was like questioning him. He's like, "You were gonna kill him," so
Yeah.
Iron Fist is hitting him, and he's like, Psh.
Then he gives him the Iron Fist, and Luke has to put ice on his cheek. Yeah, no, this is after. So I thought that was in episode 2, but maybe it was episode 3 or 4. I thought episode 3 was the Chinese restaurant episode. It's the episode before the Chinese restaurant. Have you guys seen the Chinese restaurant?
No.
I did. Yeah, that's like episode 4, I think. Yeah.
Episode 2 ends. Episode 2 ends where it's Matt Murdock busts in the law office and tells Jessica Jones not to talk, that he's her attorney, and that's when Luke Cage and Iron Fist meet and they battle out back.
Okay, so spoilers, it gets better.
I mean, we've seen parts of the trailer, so it's not like we're completely...
And yeah, he finally puts the suit. Matt Murdock finally puts the Daredevil suit on in episode 5. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh wait,
he does look ridiculous when he does so.
Charlie, tell Tyler and Lilith we were just doing super connectivity. What other TV show did you say that Defenders?
Oh, this is basically Seinfeld with punching.
Wow.
You mean besides
It really is.
everybody around?
Yeah. No, let me tell you something. You're gonna watch this. You got to watch for it. But there are so many call-outs to Seinfeld throughout it. I will not be surprised if who's the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Larry
David.
I'm sorry, what?
Larry David.
Larry David. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Larry David does not show up here at one point. Interestingly enough, I don't know if anyone saw the Stan Lee cameo this Netflix episode, but he's not a cop anymore. He apparently wrote a book.
Oh, was that? I thought I saw his picture on a sign or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sign, and it's clearly like an advertisement and it looks like it's like, an author's cover,
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wasn't a cop. Normally he's in the Be Watchful, I'm a cop, old man cop, This time he's, hey, Stan Lee, writing books. So he's keeping up his ability to tell his stories, or maybe he's the FedEx guy who he's got back to Earth and now he's written a novel of his adventures.
But I mean, Charlie convinced me on the Seinfeld thing. I mean, you got the Chinese restaurant in episode 4, and I mean, there's stuff that's coming. You haven't seen where Stick says he doesn't want Matt's worlds colliding, and
yeah,
Charlie, all we need is Iron Fist saying "Serenity now, serenity now."
Well, he does like to meditate, so yes.
Now, insanity later.
Yes, but no, I mean it's. They always make the comment about how New York is a character in these Netflix series, and I think very much that informs this Seinfeld connection. I think, and of course, like I said, the 4th episode takes place entirely in a Chinese restaurant, just like Seinfeld. and it's pretty cool in that.
Rand, Party of Four. It even works out. I mean, three guys, one woman. It's scary.
Exactly. It's very different.
So then I'll be there for it.
Who's the Kramer?
Definitely Danny.
Yeah, he kind of is the Kramer in the fact that he is kind of strange and out there and talks about weird stuff, but always seems to fall, backwards into money and never has to have a real job. Doesn't have any real concerns aside from just getting from place to place.
So does that make Luke George because he's the bald guy?
Actually, no. I think Luke is the Jerry because he's the most together. And I think no, Matt is actually the George because he's the one who's always worried about something. He's the nervous one. That's why he has to wear the mask. He doesn't want to take off his mask. Can't let anyone know he's Daredevil. So because he doesn't want his worlds colliding. My worlds are colliding, Luke. You don't understand. So yeah, so Luke is the Jerry. Matt is the George. Jessica actually does make a pretty good Elaine when you think of it, because she's the quippy one. She does have a real job, but she also is struggling with just the fact that life is a pain and everyone's an idiot.
Just don't let her dance.
Yeah, we haven't seen her dance yet, but yes. So it really is Seinfeld. It gets more and more. This is a Capes and Lunatics blog post someone needs to write. I guess I kind of have to do it. But after finish my Rick and Morty thing.
So after long discussion, the Capes and Lunatics have discovered that the Defenders is nothing more than Seinfeld with punching.
Exactly, it's Seinfeld with punching.
Lilith, you're very quiet.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Lilith, you're very quiet.
I know. You guys know how I get when it's a Marvel-centric kind of podcast. I'll let you kids have fun. Well, I need the Incredible. I need the Hulk's take.
The Incredible Hulk music.
Hey, say what you want. That's a perfectly scored movie. I'm sorry, it is.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the TV series. I thought you were waiting for the Lonely Man thing, which they actually do rip on it a couple places in this movie. When Jessica is following Daredevil, and she's in do all the hardcore parkour. They actually, if you listen, they actually have the strings sort of start up the Lonely Man theme as he's walking. Yes, I only noticed. I noticed it because I had just watched the Hulk before I was doing my Defenders. Like, oh wow, man! It was like 2 in the morning. I was just ready to make connections everywhere. Like Seinfeld.
She so should have called him Peter Parkour.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, but so one thing I do want to ask you guys, and I don't, one of the things I thought was really neat about this is that, especially in the first episode, you really see how it is each time a different character's on the scene, it has the thematics of the show they're from. So you have the same, the color lighting, the music scores in that first episode. It's like you keep on shifting between each person's story, and then I think as they start to come more and more together, their color palette and their musical cues start to blend together. And then again, like I was saying, one of the things you see is Luke Cage is yellow, Daredevil is red, Jessica is blue, and Danny Rand is green.
I mean, they put that very well at the beginning too. Like just in the credits, they blatantly tell you that. And I mean, it's really noticeable in the music at the beginning when we were introduced to Luke.
Yeah, because he did have a very different musical scoring than the other ones, and that's sort of what tips you off that, oh wait, yeah. And then when you see that, and you see that Luke is got a completely different feel, then you start to look back and say, oh, and that is actually really different from that. Because it's very easy to see these shows all blur together in the Netflix universe, what I think about it is that what you're seeing here is kind of the ultimate extension of ongoing comic book universe storytelling, which is that you have all these things that had all this stuff happen in their own universes. Now they're coming together, and there are references back here and there to everybody else's story. And as you go from place to place, it's a different story. It's a different perspective. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. You know,
I'm back.
Welcome back.
My internet's been screwed up for the past 2 days. Like, it'll keep going out, and they're doing work in the area, and it's making me very, very angry.
Serenity now. Serenity now. But yeah, I mean, I love when the Defenders come together, but that first episode is like really like, you know, an episode of each of their shows just like mashed together. You know, here's Luke, here's Jessica, here's Matt, here's Danny.
Which is great because like it's a great setup without feeling like they rush too much into it. They actually gave us time to kind of like, here's where they are. Here's what's been kind of going on since last we saw them. And look now, they're going to meet. Okay, awesome.
Yes, and for what it's worth, what I thought was like one of that great cues that you see in that is at the end of episode 2, when Daredevil comes in, he walks in to the blue room from a red door. So you get that that thematic. You know, when what's his name? Warren Beatty did Dick Tracy. He very much wanted that. I'm sorry, what?
That's a great movie. It's so underrated.
Oh yeah, no, it's a really good adaptation of a comic book movie. It was overpriced, and it was probably sort of like Ang Lee. He wanted to do. He wanted to use the visuals of comic books in a movie, but of course, that doesn't always translate well. But one of the things that he really focused on was that primary color theme. And you see that very much throughout this as they play off of each other. It goes back to whose color scene is it? And then as it makes for a great way to inform you in a non-spoken way what's going on in the story. So when you see yellow, you know that Luke Cage is coming. When you see red, you know that Daredevil is there. Or, you know, when you see each person's color coming in as the color palettes start to blend and merge. And, you know, I think that's cool. So here's a question for you. Luke Cage has been with Misty Knight, Claire, and Jessica.
That's what Jania said.
All three of these women are going to be in the same room at some point. How does that go down?
That's what Jania said when the scene opens up and Misty's at the door and Claire answers. She's like, "Oh man." She was like, the woman he was with, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he was also with Jessica." She's like, "Holy crap."
Hey, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Plus, he's good looking. I mean, come on. And Claire's already been with Luke and Matt.
Has she been with Matt?
It wasn't in season 1 of Daredevil.
I didn't think they actually.
Somebody Google that.
Remember him?
Well, I think I remember her running around with no pants on. So I'm assuming.
Assumption is the mother of all failure, Phil.
Yeah, you know.
Somebody look that up.
Okay, the guy's blind. I can run around half naked. He's not gonna.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was. I don't remember them doing anything in season 2. I just rewatched season 2.
All right.
So maybe it was in season 1.
And I brought this up in Super Connectivity. You know, what was that? The first episode, Claire and Luke get coffee. Yeah. And if they didn't seem too gentle. I'm like, how is she not injured?
He's learned to control himself.
Yeah, I mean
the whole Clark Kent rhythm method.
Yep.
Well, you know, the man can pick up an egg. He knows not to break things. You know, I mean, honestly, not for nothing. Just to call a shelter half an entrenching tool. When you're with anyone, you could really hurt them. You know, if you're not being careful. Just with normal human strength. Superhuman strength makes it that much harder not to hurt someone. You just, you know, watch what you're doing and don't hurt them. It's
If Charlie
you can have something a little.
if Charlie Esser can do it, Luke Cage can do it.
This just
Exactly,
went to a very weird place.
Well,
And it wasn't me for a change. I'm just happy.
well, no, I just I've always felt that was kind of I've always felt that was a prurient perspective on superheroes and relationships of that nature. It's like it's anytime like when you say, "Oh man, think about how sensitive Daredevil must be." It's like, well, yeah, he's sensitive, but it's not like it's overwhelming to him because he lives his life every day with that. Obviously, he can turn it off. Obviously, he's not constantly either in pain or in pleasure, So obviously, the fact that he has super sensitive touch doesn't mean that it's just going to always be a problem for him, and anything else,
I thought that was my thought. I was like, man, his senses must have been overwhelmed during that fake earthquake. But all right, I wanted to ask everyone something. What does everyone think of Matt's friends, Foggy and Karen treating Daredevil like alcoholism, like, oh, have you fallen off the wagon? You rather put yourself in the work.
What makes me mad was I told Jania we were watching, and they're like, oh, with last night. Oh, just because at one point he was Daredevil, that doesn't mean he can just be a human that hears somebody in trouble and has the ability to act and help somebody. I mean,
but that's a great point though, Tyler. Because who did he help? He helped the guy. He helped the criminals who were robbing a guy get away.
True. I'm not saying. I'm saying.
The point of it is, I think, and this is the real point, is that, and when we get a little bit later, when we get this great total teardown of Batman and about what a jerk Batman is, using Luke Cage, or not using Luke Cage, but using Iron Fist as our Batman pastiche, and they make the point that how does it help that you're a billionaire white boy who goes and beats up on people just trying to feed their families, and the point is that yes, they all have powers. Those powers aren't meant to stop muggers. Those powers aren't meant to, just, it's meant to stop. It's meant to go to the top, not the bottom. And so when they what they're saying to Daredevil, and in many ways, yes, it is an addiction. It is an addiction. There's the obvious adrenaline reference that adrenaline is an addiction. And more to the point, I think that it's destructive for his life. Think about it. He tanked his career as a lawyer, ruined Nelson and Murdoch because he couldn't take 5 minutes to live a life, and because he couldn't control himself. Yeah, it gets to be this thing like nobody wants you to be Daredevil. Everybody wants you to actually be Matt Murdock.
I just thought the contrast was interesting because all Matt Murdock's friends were like, oh, don't be Daredevil, don't be Daredevil. Meanwhile, Trish Walker's pushing Jessica Jones. She's like, go be a superhero. You got these powers. You should be a superhero.
Well, yeah. Well, two differences. One, Jessica Jones actually has powers.
Matt has powers, but they're not like, they're more the sensory stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's well trained and he can do good things. But also you see also how the idea is that when Jessica B's a superhero, it's because her life was a train wreck before she became a superhero. Mm-hmm. She has purpose is when she's doing these things, when she's actually trying to help people. So whereas Matt, much like we get with Danny Rand saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually a billionaire. I could use that as a superpower. Doesn't quite yet know how, but he theoretically could. You find this idea that, Matt can do more as a lawyer. Really, Matt can do a lot more as a lawyer than as a superhero. As a lawyer, as he said to Kingpin, he can keep his wife out of the country for the rest of his life for the cost of $5 in postage. He can bury you under paper and do all this stuff because I'm a lawyer and that's my superpower. Paper, which is a devastating superpower to the wealthy because, of course, you need that money, and money is power.
I
And
know we're talking Marvel, but Lilith, stop crying, please.
all you got to do is say what you thought of. You can say it was awful, Lilith.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Just count how many Marvel heroes are in New York City, and they can't keep the city safe, and there's just Batman until the Bat family in Gotham. Just throwing that out there real quick, and go. Be right back.
And look what a heck hole. Look what an H hole. Gotham is. You know,
as a person who's lived in it,
it's a city that when it fell into an earthquake, the rest of the country said, you know what, let it go. Nothing of value was destroyed. You know, it is the Newark, New Jersey, literally, of the DC universe, because we saw that it's across the river from Metropolis. So if you want the donut, John, just put it in the microwave for 22 seconds. It'll be nice and hot and delicious. Okay. Sorry. It's
yes, sir.
no. You put it. You take a Krispy Kreme that's been in the fridge overnight. You put it in the microwave 22 seconds. It is perfection. Top shelf in the box. There we go.
All right. Well, anyway, Charlie Esser called Gotham the Detroit of the DC universe.
No, I said the Newark of the DC universe, not the Detroit.
Wow.
I'm back.
You're calling it a heck hole.
Well, depending on who's writing it, it can very well be the Detroit of the DC universe. Honestly.
Actually, Detroit is actually in the DC universe. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure because the Justice League moved
Justice
there
League,
once.
yeah.
Yeah. They thought they would revitalize their economy, and it was about as revitalizing as gambling.
Don't even get me started on.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, this was actually something I was saying about, you know, being a guy who beats up on poor people, because, you know, you don't become a hench clown because that's your life's work. Sure, you become the Joker because it's your life's work, but the people Batman mostly punches are hench clowns and puffins and quislings, you know, the various costumed henchmen that have been hired because, you know, they got kids to feed, and, you know, the Joker has a great dental plan. Everyone knows Joker has great dental. I mean, it's not as good as a LexCorp job. I mean, honestly, that's where you want to work your way up to LexCorp, but, you know, no one starts at LexCorp, let's be honest, you know.
Nope.
And that's the thing. And so basically Batman spends his time, rather than using his money to invest in Gotham, bring industry to Gotham, have
Like
good
a parent
union
did.
jobs in Gotham, he goes and he buys, you know, bat wings that were probably made in China. I'm just going to put it out there. Where did the bat wing get manufactured? Where did the Flying Fox get manufactured? It wasn't Gotham. There's no Flying Fox assembly plant out on Route 9.
The Bat Cave. Duh.
Him and
How
Alfred.
much does he make that poor Alfred do? It's like, Alfred, build me a jet.
A lot.
And
Alfred does a lot.
102 while you're at it. I think there's more
Charlie
than one.
Esser wants Bruce Wayne to make Gotham. Charlie Esser wants Bruce Wayne to make Gotham great again.
Yeah, he could. Anyway, yeah, but it's just the reality of it. Is that if you have that much money, if you want to use money as a superpower, using it to make jet planes to fly around a city, you know, it's not the best use of your money, Batman. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
I'm glad it was rated fresh because, like, people have been kind of bagging ever since Iron Fist season 1. People were like, oh, Marvel might have lost that magic touch, and especially with the Inhumans kind of controversy that's going on. So I'm glad.
Can't wait to go see that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well,
I was saying this on Super Connectivity too. I'm really scared for Inhumans now because they put out that article this week already making excuses. Oh, we had a limited budget and limited time, and I'm just like,
Then don't do it. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all.
Exactly. It should have been a movie with a movie budget, and
Actually,
you know, just like it.
No, I think that the mistake they made with it was they're making a TV show in IMAX, and that was the mistake. It had just been a TV show. Had it just been the Inhumans TV show, and again, I'm going to say it should be Medusa-centric, not Black Bolt-centric, or do Crystal-centric. You know, those are the two most interesting characters, is Crystal and Medusa.
They're scared
to do that
lead
story.
since Agent Carter, though. I guess.
Agent Carter didn't do that badly in the ratings, and it had a huge following, and you're only using it for your mid-season replacement. And, you know, and honestly, Agent Carter would have been better if they had let her do more. You know, which is why I think, you know, I think that when we get to Captain Marvel and Director Carter, and we get the whole world before Heroes, where there were still a heck of a lot of heroes, but it's a secret. And we see how Peggy Carter kept the wraps on all the heroes for 60 years. That's going to be an interesting story. Because you notice that once Nick Fury becomes director, all the heroes just start walking out. He can't keep the... He was no Peggy Carter. That's what we can say about Nick Fury. He was no Peggy Carter. Because it's like the first hero he gets to introduce, and they put a whole backstory for Tony Stark, and he's like, anyway, yeah. But Director Carter has to be central in Captain Marvel. That's all I can say.
Well, what I hate is they're like, oh, Agent Carter didn't do well. It's because she's a woman. No, how about there's things in the show that may or may not have worked. You know, it doesn't matter that she was a woman, but that's where they want to jump to. Like, nobody wants to see.
That's always the studio exec like go to for their justification of like being sexist pigs. Just saying, Hollywood's really kind of.
Do you think it hurt? Do you think it hurt the show that it was a period piece too?
People love period pieces.
Yeah.
I think as sometimes as a show though, because think about the restrictions that are put on that show, though. Like, you have to be after Captain America, but you can't do too much. You can't move too forward because all the other stuff that you have to comply with.
Yeah. They really should have had it take place. Really, if they should have said it after the Peggy Carter short and made it about the founding of S.H.I.E.L.D. Their decision to not make it there because they wanted to keep S.H.I.E.L.D., and a lot of that has to do with the TV movie push and pull that they were right in the, like I said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Peggy Carter really got stuck in the middle of that push me, pull you with TV. Okay? I love you too. No, it's okay. Got stuck in the middle there, and they did not have that ability to tell the stories they wanted to, because the movies were saying, well, don't do that, we're going to do something with S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to do something with this. Even probably to the point that the movie said, hey, we're still using Peggy Carter. Don't go do nothing interesting with her character because we might want to do backstory about her, you know? I mean, it's interesting. Now that I think that things are a little bit more settled, now that we've had Principal Howling Commando in Homecoming, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of what Peggy Carter was doing in the last 60 years. And like I said, fingers crossed, we're going to see that home-based protocol being first used out on Principal Howler, and that's why he gets to be young and beautiful forever, and them not being able to figure out why it only worked on him. You know, their own first version of the Infinity Formula. That'll be cool. And speaking of home-based protocol and Kree technology, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I'm very much of the opinion that the hands regeneration technology totally just found Kree tech. Just stuff that, like, it's old Kree stuff. I want in the 5th episode or the 8th episode for like some Kree tech guy to walk in and say, "Oh goodness, you're still using a X-43? Man, I haven't seen one of these things in like 8,000 years. This is like first generation, bring it back from the dead technology. You guys really need to upgrade." You know? We can do all this with a shot now, you know.
Yeah, see, that's where I was confused because, you know, Charlie's convinced it's Kree technology, but I thought it was like more mystical in nature.
Yeah.
But we haven't touched really on mystics now until Doctor Strange. So we can kind of see.
What an introduction it was.
Well, and not for nothing, you know, when they did do Doctor Strange, they said Yeah, it's magic, but you don't really know what magic is. Magic is still just, it still has laws and rules, and it's still just, the essential way to think about it is that in super fancy sci-fi, it's just that scientists figured out how to do magic. That's all it is. It's just scientists figured out how to do magic. Even harnessing your chi, it's just chi's in there. It's a real thing, but you got to figure out how you access it. And then once you figure out how to access it, now you have that energy you can use, and you have this energy that is a real sci-fi thing. The Infinity Stones, cosmic cubes, all these things are all technically sci-fi. They're not magic, unless you want to call them magic. As Thor said, where I come from, what you call magic, we call science, and what you call science, we call science. It's all science, dude. We just know what we're doing. Yeah, we actually looked at it and said, "Oh, you know what? That's how that works."
Well, that's the one thing that bothered me in Defenders is like when Danny's telling Luke his origin, and even later on when they're talking about Elektra being resurrected, and they're just like, everyone's, Luke, Jessica, everyone's like, what? That's impossible. That's impossible. I'm like, don't you live in a universe where the Chitauri invaded and even though we don't talk about it, the Hulk and Abomination destroyed Harlem, and I mean, why are you at a point? I mean, you have Purple Men. Why can't you believe this stuff? I mean, look at all the stuff that's happened in this universe.
Well, the reason why is because they're giving a mystical origin, and this is what I'm going to. This I actually think is kind of central to this, because one of the things, a little bit of spoilers here, is we're going to see that the rest of the hand isn't too happy with Alexandra's obsession with the black sky. Because essentially, Alexandra is getting all caught up in the mysticism of the hand. Whereas other members of the hand are like, dude, we're just here to make money. We get to live for thousands of years and get billions of dollars, and we get to fight bears. Why can't you be happy, Alexandra? Just fight a bear once. It really makes your life better.
So is she like trying to build her legacy, or is she like looking for a cure, something to prolong her life even more?
Because what it is that, you notice that the first episode, did you see what the name of the first episode is? It's called The H Word.
Yes, The H Word.
So they're trying to get to some knowledge, some other knowledge that is in the H word. Got to dig deep to get it.
What are you referring to as the H word?
Well, I assume it is HE double hockey sticks.
Oh, I assumed it was hero because Luke kept saying, "I'm no hero," but he refused to say the word hero.
Oh,
when they were talking, when he's like, and he's because they come back and say like, hero of Harlem, like, what are you going to do now? Like, is that paying your bills? Is the police paying your bills? And he's like, no. And then he's talking to that kid. He's like, you're some sort. He's like, no. Like, he cuts him off and says, no, I'm not.
And actually, I think Jessica even said, don't use the H word to Patty. So.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why they titled it that, because you could take it both ways. Because, I mean, Lookins came up with two totally different ideas.
Exactly. So. And I think that's part of what perspective, when you're watching it, what characters are you looking at and identifying with?
Yes. And I just really want Damon Hellstrom in here somewhere.
Yes.
I want Damon and Pat Steve. I want those two crazy kids to make it work. And we have to introduce Damon Hellstrom for them to make it work. So
I want
Damon
Hellstrom to be the Constantine of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, well, he kind of is, except more evil.
Well, when you're the son of Satan, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he is evil, but only by our human moral standards. That's why he will both hang out with Hydra and then fight Hydra in the next issue. Because it's like, yeah, well, I'm evil. And what's the greatest sin but betrayal?
Are we talking about Hellstrom or Namor?
No. Well, yeah, both, but no. But Hellstrom, because he is, he was aligned with sin, and he actually worked with this. But I think he's back to being a hero coming soon. So He does that. He goes be a hero. He goes be a villain because honestly, he really doesn't care about your petty human things, and I think that is maybe what we're seeing here with the disgruntledness between the hand, because the people who are running the hand ran the hand to make money and be immortal. Yes, and Alexandra, she's still up in that Kunlun business, wanting some kind of mystical awakening. It's like, dude, just be rich and live forever. Now, granted, she's not living forever anymore, so maybe that's it. But then again, she would be living forever if she wasn't fighting for a black sky. Because obviously this whole immortality thing, it takes a lot of effort to regenerate, and they used all that regeneration on Elektra. Well, they kind of implied they were going to use it on Nobu, had they actually felt like he was worth keeping around. But,
that cheap Kree technology.
Well, it's just old, man. It's just old Kree technology. They got to get the upgrade. They got to connect it to the web so they can find out what the new software patch is. That thing's probably riddled with viruses at this point.
Yeah. Try turning it on and off.
Yes, well, that's what they needed to do. They need to turn that thing on and off again. And for what it's worth, to support my theory, you remember in Guardians of the Galaxy when Ronan the Accuser is doing his whole regeneration ceremony? Again, you get this big pottery style thing, you get the blood flowing in, and that's what he comes out of. Very similar to what we're seeing with Elektra. It's just that whereas the Kree, it has ritualistic elements, but they actually know that this is just science, and this is what we do, and this is how it works. The hand is sitting here saying, we don't know, it's just magic. But obviously, if you ever had Fitz and Simmons in this episode, they're like, oh yeah, that's just like a home base protocol. This is you're really doing a very overly ornate, overly complicated way of doing this. This must be very old technology. We cracked this, Zola cracked this code in the 50s when they made Principal Howler, and founded Super Science High in the 90s. The fact of the matter is that, I mean, that's what you want. You want one of the super scientists of the Marvel Universe to come in and go, oh, yeah, I know what they're doing here. That's the problem with the Defenders. They don't have a super scientist. They need one.
They have no team. They have no Harrison Wells.
Yeah.
Which one?
All of
Any
them.
of them.
Earth 2.
Speaking of, did you see, I guess, talking us that we might be getting another version of Wells?
Of course we are.
Oh, well, of course. That's part of the fun of every season. Is there's the new villain, and what's the new Wells?
He never wants to ever play original Earth 1 Wells, so that's why we keep getting all this.
Well, I mean, technically, he could be Earth 1. Or the original Wells that was only seen in a flashback and murdered, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah. Did you guys already talk about Richard Dragon's casting for Arrow?
Yeah.
No,
okay,
isn't there some sort of you?
Isn't there references to Richard Dragon or whatever in season 1?
In the book, I thought. I
swear that season 1 has some sort of, because I thought of him as a villain before, but I swear back when they were fighting China Way, China White. I swear there was some sort of reference to him. I have to go back and look.
You sure you're not thinking of?
But Lilith, you said.
I know there's I don't know, because season 1's a blur. I can't rewatch season 1 anymore. So
Lilith, you said you said you did not like who they cast for Richard Dragon.
No. I like Kurt. I do. I love him from Fringe and Alcatraz and a couple other things, but I just don't think he's right for this role.
So who is Richard Dragon? Enlighten me.
Another one of the best martial artists in the DC universe.
Okay. I mean, honestly, that should have been instead of dealing with Merlin. I just think it's too late in the game for that. And I mean, it's not like we're gonna get an Outsiders War or anything like that. So why even bring him in? And he's only going to be an arc. He's not going to be the big overall bad. So you're going to do him no justice. So why do it other than fan service?
Well, aren't most of these shows mostly about fan service?
I mean, but it's bad fan service. It's like you hype this up and then you do it wrong and then you have backlash. Like, just do some more original characters nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Like, what was the guy's name at the beginning of season 5?
Oh yeah, Tobias Church. That was actually a good arc.
And then like he dies, and I'm like, what, man?
Yeah, they killed him off, but I guess he had some other stuff.
Oh, but speaking of Arrow, I was watching the first episode of Defenders with Danielle last night, and she says, you know, in the beginning when Trish is walking down the street with Jessica and she has her hair back in a ponytail, she goes, "Boy, she looks like Felicity."
I would take Trish over Felicity.
I mean, season 1 Felicity, no, but everything after that, sure.
Charlie Esser loves Trish Walker.
I'm sorry,
Charlie
what?
Esser loves Trish.
I love
I said
Trish.
Charlie
She's
loves
great.
Trish Walker.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I just want her to become Hellcat, you know? It's like, and they're dragging it out, man. You know? Well, because she wants to be a hero, and, you know, eventually she's going to be the one, you know, he's going to say the heck with it, and he's going to go jump off a building in a yellow cat suit. It's going to be great.
She's gonna get killed, and that's what's going to push Jessica over the edge. They're going to kill her off. Like
No.
They're going to kill her off, just like they killed Ben Urich off.
No. Yeah.
Are we worried about these?
We don't say that Ben Urich died, but
the stuff Disney's doing, or no? Because like I don't really care one way or the other.
Well,
I read that
the latest
their
thing I heard
contract is
it's
over
like,
after Punisher.
Okay.
Well, no. Well, I thought I've heard like 20 different things. I thought they said the Netflix stuff is staying, you know, the Marvel stuff staying on Netflix, the Star Wars stuff is staying with Netflix, but like
Netflix wants it all too.
Yeah, but I thought like they were saying the Disney, you know, thing is going to be just like their animation and the Pixar stuff and.
I mean, I already have the DVDs for that stuff. I mean, and Blu-rays and stuff, and VHS for the older stuff. So I mean, it's not like I freaking care about it.
Yeah, but you're not a parent. You know, you're not a parent either. You know, if you don't have the DVD, I guess.
Right
You know.
here for the kid, really? Is that what parenting has become?
Well, I guess they're saying, you know, if you want to watch The Little Mermaid at the spur of the moment, you know, if you have the app, boom.
Or you could just have everything in the cloud.
Some people are
Once
technologically
again, you have to have good
advanced as you,
internet.
Lilith.
Touche,
Well, you
Tyler.
know, I actually still say it's just a negotiation tactic. I think that, you know, Disney wants to buy Netflix, and Netflix doesn't want to sell. So, you know, basically Disney saying they're going to start their own service is basically Disney saying to Netflix, you don't look nearly as good as you think you look. You know,
Good, and they don't realize how good they think they are.
yeah. Well, you know, they have a lot of debt, so there's lots of reasons for Disney not to want to buy Netflix. But you know,
It's a good infrastructure. I mean, you know, if you can do it.
exactly.
Yeah, but I think, Charlie, we might have discussed this already, but like last week, is this like Disney's reaction to Netflix saying, oh, we got
Miller World.
Yeah, Miller World. Yeah. And Disney's like,
think
oh, yeah, well, we don't need you. And now, you know, now Netflix
But that's
is
a
all.
really niche thing. It doesn't have a general overall appeal like Disney, so I don't think that that's what that is.
Yeah, I don't know, but now, you know, Netflix is all like,
My thing is, if any
Disney,
company chooses,
come back, we miss you.
if any company were to choose to do their own streaming service, and if to go well, it would be Disney.
Yeah, I guess they
Like,
figure,
just
hey,
with-
they figure
if you think
CBS
of-
and Warner's.
But
can
think
do it.
about if all the Disney content from animation to live action, like all those '90s Disney movies that we don't ever see anymore,
Yeah.
Disney Channel stuff, and then
Oh,
if
the
they do
70s,
exclusives,
those 70s movies and stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
And you
I
know,
mean, back
and
when they did,
yeah.
Well, just because
So
you
then
have
I
the
can
app
see-
doesn't mean you can actually do a good user interface and all those other things. Sure, you have content,
yeah.
but are you going to be able to give it a good presentation and make it easy for your people?
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
that's
I mean, if nothing else,
I hate the
Disney-
website and everything.
Dis- I mean, Disney has the money to throw at it if they actually do it. If they're willing to part with some money, they can buy like the best,
Well,
website or whatever.
and I think that's what they're trying to do when they want to buy Netflix. I think that's the point, is they want to buy Netflix because Netflix has the best interface. It also, it's like this. The content they have, they get to use, with certain limitations for streaming, as much as they want. Because, any of that old stuff, its contracts are pre-digital technology, so their contracts don't even include that, don't even include that, and it's all made, so they have that pre-packaged content. Netflix has a great distribution model, so that you actually, the problem for Netflix is that they have to invest so much in their content, because they do want to own their own content, that they look really in debt.
Yeah.
Especially because and really in the U.S. they actually turn a profit. It's in their overseas build-outs that they don't have that is showing their losses. And if they do become merged with Disney, if Netflix comes and becomes a part of Disney as a distribution arm, Disney is going to be able to absorb a lot of that, and is also going to be able to brand it out into these foreign markets that they've already have the stronger foothold. So I think that Disney announcing their thing, I think it is much less about. I still think that Disney wants to buy Netflix. I think I've been saying this for a long time. I think Disney wants to buy Netflix because it's easier to buy something that's already established than to try to build it yourself. Even when you've been corporate espionaging them for however many years now to figure out how they do everything, it's still easier to buy the product than to build it yourself.
I'm not excited for the
You're
W.
right.
I think it's just a slippery slope. It's like, that's why people could afford the cable.
Well, yeah, they're probably losing money, so now everyone's getting their own digital platform, and it's going to end up costing more than cable if you get all of them.
They're like, bundle it.
That's why piracy is going to go up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not all of us are millennials, and we're too old to learn how to.
Then we're really truly screwed, and we'll have to do that because So we'll just more as that story develops, just greedy corporations, man. That's why I've been stacking up on books.
What book was that?
Oh, this is an old book though. That's the Vampire Assistant.
Yes.
I went to dollar store shopping, and because I'm obsessed with hardcovers, you can get a hardcover for $1. Like, who knew?
But hey Lilith, guess what?
What?
Last week I was telling Charlie Esser he should read last week's Red Hood and the Outlaws, and he did. And he says I might have to pick up next issue. We got him. It was
a nearly perfect book. It was really good.
It's something different. It's not expect from DC at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It was really good. I actually kind of want to go back and read last month's issue too. It's like, wow, what was the first part of the origin of Bizarro?
We got him. We got him.
Yeah.
Finally, only took 13 issues, but we got him.
Well, you know what? I was going to read it from the beginning, but they put Bizarro on the cover and not in the book. And I said, don't play me like that. You can't promise me Bizarro and then not deliver Bizarro. And I was like, you're going to play that? No. Because Bizarro didn't show up until the third or fourth issue. It's like, please, what? I want to read about Jason Todd?
Well, this version is pretty good and interesting.
Well, yeah, but he's still just one of these guys who's got no powers, who somehow punches people with powers all the time. It's like
guns, baby, guns.
I was gonna say, yeah. As the gun nut of the group, that's why I appreciate Jason Todd.
Guns and an attitude. He's the Lilith Hellfire.
Well, for what it's worth, a lot of superheroes apparently do have bullets as their one weakness. Including, interestingly enough, recently confirmed is, yes, Wonder Woman, not bulletproof.
Yeah, that was weird for me. But
that's what the
it's always weird. Well, it's like that Jessica Jones isn't bulletproof. Anytime you have someone who has superhuman strength and not superhuman invulnerability, it's really weird. It's like every time I watch the old Hulks and you realize, oh, wait, 1970s Hulk isn't bulletproof.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I was watching an episode last night, it's like people draw their guns, but they're so afraid of the Hulk, they don't pull the trigger. It's like, wow, it's funny, because if they shot him, first off, it does make the Hulk angry. But theoretically, if you put enough lead in him, you actually theoretically could kill the 1970s Hulk. Although he does also have an awesome healing factor, so it's debatable. You know, it's sort of like
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the 1970s Hulk is weaker than comics Hulk, but I think they said, didn't they even say in the comics that he actually isn't bulletproof, but his healing factor is like so
quick, yeah.
Quick that it looks like he is?
No. Well, he used to not be bulletproof. I honestly feel he used to not be bulletproof. He got bulletproof during the Peter David run.
Yeah.
And I think the first time we really see him being bulletproof is when he is Mr. Fix-It, and he goes and the gangsters start shooting him.
Mr.
Adamantium can only adamantium can cut the Hulk's skin.
We need Mr.
And that's why
Fix-It.
Wolverine can.
We need Mr. Fix-It in the MCU. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah. Well, I want an intelligent. Well, we may get close to it with Ragnarok. You do say because you do know Hulk talks.
Yeah, and he gets a haircut, so I'm thinking, yeah, it's like a Banner Hulk or something. Yeah.
Everybody gets a haircut in Ragnarok.
Old Thor too.
Well,
yeah.
you know what? They're in a big
Thor
intergalactic
haircut.
prison. They're in a big intergalactic prison. You got Space Slice. You got to make sure everyone keeps it neat and clean. You know, you don't want Space Slice. That's all I'm telling you. You know. Anyway.
All right, but since we're on comics, is there any? Does everyone want to give their top picks of the week?
Yeah, I don't have any because I am behind because all I do is work and take care of kids.
Turn to comics.
Yeah, I got to read my alternate comics, man. I'm so far behind on everything.
Yeah. I actually have to read one. Here, give me 1 second.
Which ones are you at least, Phil? Do you know yet?
What?
Which ones you're interested in?
I'm probably gonna. I'm gonna try. I want to try at least like an issue of each. I mean, of course, Lilith Dark, and there was a few. I mean, you spoke highly of it too, but there's at least 2 or 3 other series in there. I'm gonna try to, like I said, read at least an issue of all of them. So.
Okay. I'm gonna once again say Gwenpool is always awesome. And we get to meet evil Gwenpool from the future because she has fourth wall breaking abilities, which are, it's a very frightening superpower, which you see as she keeps on tearing the pages and like literally breaking the fourth wall. Like that fourth wall is now torn up. You can see through to what's happening in the next page, and then later you see the ads. It's like crazy, this superpower that is freaking everyone out. So you understand why future Spider-Man and several other people, if it really is future Spider-Man, are afraid of her. Continuing on the theme of reality is broken, the Ultimates, fixed reality, but the best part about this, okay, because we see that the Maker, he brings the evil Ultimates from the Ultimate Universe, and they're all being evil and scary to the good guys. And then this is what really, even after having Captain America make the statement of, hey, the A doesn't stand for France, his catchphrase, he actually does. He's talking to America Chavez, and we know that this is really, everyone's like, oh, maybe Fascist Cap is really Ultimate's Cap because he was kind of a fascist. But here, when he actually gets reason and argument, he stands down. And because he's the real Cap. He's a real Cap. He's not been manipulated to be a fake Cap. He may be a little fascistic and maybe a little tough bad guy, but you know what? He stands up and he says, no, we're not going to destroy the universe just for your personal pleasure, Maker. And that was pretty awesome. It's what I always say about guys like William Burnside, who also kind of a fascist Cap, but in his heart of hearts, he is a Cap. He doesn't want to be a villain. He was a Cap who fought communists because communists were the villains. And, he often went way too far doing that. And in a world that was ripped up by a lot of social strife, who were heroes and who were villains was always a tough question. But William Burnside, even though he gets that rap as a fascist Cap, could have been a good Cap if things had come out differently. At least that's my opinion. So to see a Captain America be a Captain America once again makes me hopeful for Mark Waid's new.
Yes.
And I picked up this. I don't know what it is. It's called Neon Joe. It was free, so we're gonna have to read it. Neon Joe Werewolf Hunter. So we're gonna see what that is. I don't know. It's a free comic book. If it's free, I always pick it up. And what did you guys like this week?
Well, I'm sure Lilith knows what my DC pick of the week was. Bringing back a lot of that Grayson stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my Marvel pick, this week's issue of Generations, all new Wolverine and Wolverine.
And how do those two crazy kids get together?
Well, of course, like every other issue of Generations, time travel. But I mean, it's got a lot of good action in it. Got the feels, it's kind of like, Laura tries to, not tell Logan who she is, but he's like, oh, like, I'm not going to recognize you. I know my own scent. And he's like, I never thought I'd see my mother's eyes again and stuff. And the action's there, the feels are there. It was a good issue.
Oh. Does she mention being in Washington, D.C. before winding up wherever she winds up in the past?
No, like I said, every issue of this, they've been really vague about it. And yeah, no, she just like, where am I? And then at the end, she like fades away. So.
It's kind of like the end of Secret Wars and Old Man Logan, where he just sort of wakes up in the Marvel in the main world after the fact. It's just like.
Oh, but happened? Charlie, you were asking me, I think, when the Hulk issue came out about the technology and where they were at. Laura says something about a cell phone, and Logan says, a what?
Ooh, see?
He didn't know what a cell phone was. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think because that's how you're going to know if they went to actual time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like I said, I think the minute the Ultimates hung the hat on sliding time, it really changed the dynamic of what comic book universes were. So,
yeah,
very excited about that. And for him not to know what a cell phone is, that's pretty impressive. Now, granted, Wolverine's a character who's been around for like 800 years, but he wasn't in the Wolverine costume until he first started fighting the Hulk. So, contemporaneously, he has to be in that Hulk universe. But then again, like I said, that's what we got to watch with the Hulk, because that goes even further back. So if you're back in the 60s, because I think under current sliding time, in current sliding time, Captain America gets awakened at the start of the Obama administration. Because that was actually when they retold Cap's origin. They actually made a point that, he's like, oh, look at this. I woke up where we've overcome all of these problems, and the president's an African-American man, and yes, we had hard times, but now the future looks bright. Wah, wah.
Hey, Lilith, this is for you. So you're not, look, boom. She's wearing her Batgirl dress. So now, she's like, yay.
Now all you need is a little Batarang pacifier. And
I got one somewhere, and I have her Supergirl teething ring, but I just can't get everywhere right now.
And now you're no longer the only woman on the podcast, Lilith.
Oh, I did pick up a pretty interesting book. It's Spy Seal #1. It's an Image comic book. It's $3.99. It's weird. It's kooky. It's Image, so duh. But it's kind of like in the
What's
style.
The name?
Spy Seal.
What's the name of it?
#1. Let me make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Spy Seal. So it's like literally a seal that's a spy in MI6. So I was just trying something different. I'm trying to lighten the mood because all my DC stuff's so dark. Whether it's Nightwing, Batman, even Aquaman and Green Arrow.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Dark right now.
I was going to ask you what you thought of this week's Green Arrow.
Hard childhood heroes. They're trying it in the whole Batman thing. I want these to be more, but like in theory, it's a good idea, but not the way that Batman's written currently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
It looks like we're actually getting the. It looks like next issue we're actually getting the real hard traveling heroes. You know, it looks like Green Arrow. I mean, a Green Lantern team up. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. We'll see how that turns out. I'm just like
Oh, but
whittling my DC list down. It's gonna be like Marvel, like 1 or 2 a month at this point.
But no, you mentioned that Image comic. I got my second compendium of Invincible. That book is great. Invincible. I know I think they're talking about making that either a live action TV show or movie. They need to do it. I'm
They
telling you.
should do the movie and then spin the show out of the
I recommend that to all of you, everyone listening to this. Invincible is such a great book.
You get sucked right in, so yeah. It's a good universe to get sucked into.
Yeah. Oh, you read some Invincible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that book. I think I'm up to like issue or something, but yeah, it's so good. Do we have anything else?
Indie books.
Yes. Oh, I know. I know at least Charlie and Tyler seem to excited about this. Wizard Magazine's coming back as a digital thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Only digital. Well, I'll go to the website. To heck with it. I was hoping to get my glossy, but yes, so happy to have Wizard Magazine coming back. If you're an old man like me, you remember when we would read the Wizard Magazine, and that's where you got your news of the comic book industry.
Yep. I remember that Wizard Magazine told me the big topics of the day, like when when they were getting rid of Ben Reilly and bringing Peter Parker back. I was like, oh yeah.
What I always loved about it was that they always had it in like the back. They had this little feature which was every comic book movie currently in development.
It's like,
oh yeah,
or like got you so excited,
or like their casting of a movie. Because didn't they like when they when they were first talking about a Spider-Man movie, they're like Leonardo DiCaprio should play Peter Parker.
Well, at that time there were rumors of it, and they always did that.
Yeah.
But no, but there was like this, but we like the remake of Howard the Duck or something like that. Okay, well, let's Mama Kiss your script, make it better. Okay. Don't roughhouse so much. You don't roughhouse, you don't get scrapes. Anyway.
Words of wisdom.
Look, things like that. You need Wizard?
What?
I'm just asking, do we really need Wizard in this day and age?
Well, it's a brand, And I mean, yeah, if it's a website, yeah, it's just another news outlet for it, but it's one that has it's like, and what it's worth, it's like, Cracked Magazine or Mad Magazine, which is now Mad Magazine still has a physical store, but Cracked, rebranded itself and became a major website, out of nowhere.
I mean, look, nostalgia is big right now, and then plus, I guess this is a way for Wizard World to like have like a bigger online presence.
Okay, well, there's that.
Yeah. I never realized Wizard World was actually tied to Wizard Magazine. Up until this moment, I never put two and two together up until this moment.
Strikes again.
Oh wait, because they have the same name, and so it's probably connected. That would be smart, Yes. What are you trying to tell me that Disney owns the Disney Channel? I did not know that. Okay.
Is anybody watching?
Conspiracy.
Is anybody watching any actual summer TV? Anybody? Network summer TV?
I'm watching Preacher. Lilith, are you caught up with Preacher?
Not premium cable or basic cable. I don't know what AMP is because.
Is there actually anything on TV right now? I mean, there are new shows.
It's a sci-fi miniseries, and it's on CBS, so it's poop. But like, it's the guy from Heroes. As a Heroes fan, I had to watch it. That played it's called Salvation.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's it
called?
It's
about Salvation.
Oh, Salvation.
It's about an asteroid coming to blow Earth out of the atmosphere. And they finally said, America's the bad guy. I was like, yes! Finally, somebody can acknowledge it. So finally did it.
Yeah.
But so 4 more parts to it, but you can watch it on demand on CBS on demand. So it kind of is just something to fill time if you have time and nothing else.
I am watching Rick and Morty, so that is summer TV. That is, but not regular TV. Okay, I see. You have that. You have that. You need it on the big 4. I don't have anything on the big 4. So, or the big 3. What is it 4?
It's 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
CBS, ABC, NBC.
We got PBS, ABC, CBS, Fox, WB,
CW.
and then
CW, old man.
they have your local. It's the WB. It's owned by Warner. It's the WB. They only do DC comic book shows. So it's clearly the WB. Okay.
All right. We're going long, but I mean, speaking of the WB, CW, Lilith, and Tyler, did you see they cast Tobias Whale in Black Lightning?
Yeah.
Another bad casting, Lilith.
I'll have to see this one.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. I want Black Lightning to be good on its own outside of the Arrowverse. I don't need it. I don't want it to have the Arrowverse to prop it up like a certain other show. Sorry, Tyler. So I just want it to be its own thing, and I want it to be good. So I'll just have to wait and see.
And I mean, speaking of casting, do you see we got our Raven for the live action Teen
I meant
Titans?
to say that the last time I was here. I don't know this girl from Eve, but good luck to her.
I just wonder how young they're going, because I mean, I'm sure she's probably older, but she looks really young.
I thought she was 14 or
okay.
Ish.
I mean, well, she looks every bit of 14. What's her face? Tegan Croft, who they cast as Raven.
Really can't actually have anybody that young, because I mean, all the restrictions when they're under 17.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she's probably 17 or 18, but she looks like 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
They just released a picture of her younger to throw us off this trail.
I went to her IMDb page, so I don't know. They tend to keep those pretty updated. She kind of looks like what's the girl from Gotham? Plays Selena. Yeah, she kind of looks like.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Because she looked pretty young when they started that show. Yeah.
Puberty is a violent, crazy thing.
Yeah, that's actually why they usually don't let teenagers play teenagers on TV, because puberty's disgusting and unpredictable. It's ass long.
Yeah, I was say unpredictable is the big one. There's different ways it can go.
But thank goodness our little David Mazouz is growing very quickly and rapidly, and he can look 25 in the next year and a half.
Gotta fill that bat suit quick.
They're like, we'll just use a bunch of CG.
Did you guys talk about Tom Welling being on Lucifer yet?
No.
I'm very intrigued to see this. I'm excited and nervous all at the same time. Him returning to acting.
What did they say he's playing? Is he playing one of the cops? I'm trying to remember. Is that what they said he's gonna be a cop?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Cop, but
no.
Probably will,
okay.
Because it's supposed to be.
So why is he on Lucifer and not Supergirl?
Well, he said he doesn't want anything to do with that. He just didn't feel like it was a good vibe.
Yeah, that kind of makes me mad. He turned it.
Well, did you speak? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Speaking of that, did you hear the rumor about who may be coming to Legends of Tomorrow?
Who?
Chloe Sullivan.
Now we're talking.
That's the rumor. Now, honestly, I think it's a big reach that people went there, but what the guy said is that they're going to bring in the character from the Arrowverse. Now, theoretically, you could say, well, then couldn't they just bring a character from the Supergirl universe and say, well, they're not from the Arrowverse? So, if you had Mon-El next season or whatever.
They better not. Mon-El needs to stay. Oh, Mon-El needs
but
to just...
I think the idea that they could bring in, if they do get into cross dimensions, they could go to the Smallville universe.
They don't want to touch
Sullivan.
that. Felicity is such a cheap knockoff of Chloe. I'm sorry. They're not going to touch that. No freaking way.
I know
Well,
that's bold if they
wasn't-
bring Chloe Sullivan because she's the better model. Yeah.
She's the.
I wonder, didn't Chloe Sullivan wind up dating Green Arrow in...
No way they're going to do
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Charlie. Yep.
Yeah, I was good. So maybe that's where they got that inspiration for that Felicity character. I don't know. It's,
So they're bringing.
Didn't she date Green Arrow?
So wait, they're bringing in Chloe Sullivan. Who's rating the show? Tyler Patrick.
Look, man,
But
I
don't
would
know
do a
if
heck
that's
of a
true.
lot
I-
better
like I
job.
said,
I know.
I read the article, and it was like one of those like, oh, the guy said this, so clearly that means they're gonna do this completely weird thing that no one would have thought,
I wouldn't mind having her
Continue.
show up in the arrow, but she's not as cool as Sullivan. I love that actress.
Yeah.
I love what she did with
No.
that character.
Well, the idea is honestly, it might not even be the same actress. It could just be a Chloe Sullivan from a different timeline, that kind of thing.
If they do Chloe Sullivan, they need to get that actress back. Don't be
Yeah,
recast.
there's only one.
It would be really amazing if it's from this other DC universe. You go between worlds all the time.
What? Lil?
What?
The original Hawkman from Smallville. I actually liked him. They could bring him back instead of that crap.
Oh yeah,
You can bring back some.
and they started on the Hawks because if they're reincarnated, they should not have looked the same in every generation. They should have looked like different people in every generation.
Especially since they started out as Egyptians.
Yep.
Or
So yeah,
and we call it a day.
Those white Egyptians, man.
Well, if you watch enough TV and old movies, you might believe that. Okay, I guess we're done here.
sounds good.
Are we? All right. All right.
Phyllis,
I got a little Supergirl here who's ready to go fight crime.
All right, Tyler, give us your info.
You can find me, Tyler, that's right, and my lovely children at JTY Patrick on Twitter, on Facebook, or anywhere else, and Gmail and all those fun places.
At Tyler Patrick.
Down, girl.
Miss Hellfire.
you guys can find me live. Well, no, actually, I'm not live tweeting. All my shows are over because I watch Salvation on Demand. But if you're interested in anything that's going on over at Lilith Hellfire on Twitter, feel free to tweet me. For everything else, over at Adventures in FG, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, my website, adventuresinfangirling.com.
The man, the myth, the professor, Charlie Esser.
Yes, you can always write to me in an old-fashioned email way that we are Maz and Paz Winstead at Charlie Esser. Oh, well, I'm not there. Oh, well. No, you can actually write to me, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitters when I live tweet the Inhumans for some reason, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and anything else that anyone wants to put out there. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle for quality.
And if you want to get a hold of me, especially if you want to do an interview with our crack team of Capes Lunatics here, email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And get a hold of us for the show or any of our shows on here, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. And our voicemail. We love voicemails more than anything. 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And we are your defenders of the podcast world. So Charlie, you want to take us out?
Just in case anybody's wondering.
Why? Because he's the pretty one.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for connecting with us. We have been the Capes. There we go. And I'm the and. I get to be the and. I fought for that role. Oh goodness.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jessica.
This is the time on Capes and Lunatics when we dance. Careful, Tristan.
Avocados up